longtime View co-host. I believe it's like 26 years, and maybe she skipped a few. Her mouth sometimes gets her in trouble. Maybe this is one of those times. Joy Behar questioned Tim Scott's Black experience. Host of The View took a shot at Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas's Blackness and dragged 2024 Republican presidential candidate, newly announced Tim Scott, into the argument on Tuesday. Joy Behar argued that neither man understood the systemic racism that Black people face in America because they consider themselves Black Republicans. Now, the conversation on Tuesday, I don't know if it would have just stayed right there, maybe it would have been okay. But it came after Scott officially declared his candidacy for the 2024 presidential race on Monday. Listen to this.
And he's one of these guys who, he's like Clarence Thomas, Black Republican who believes in pulling yourself by your bootstraps, rather than, to me, understanding the systemic racism that African Americans face in this country and other minorities. He doesn't get it, neither does Clarence.
Right.
And that's why they're Republicans.
Yeah. I know.
I sometimes wonder if that's a laugh track or if the audience is really laughing that loud. And I like her. But is she really that funny? Maybe. Maybe I'll have to see her at stand up. Now, the ladies of The View, of course, often discuss race and racism. November, Whoopi Goldberg, Sonny Hostin, called out Clarence Thomas for not knowing the meaning of diversity. But there seems to be an issue when Behar chimes in, and specifically it comes with her defining the Black experience in America. And some on social media argue it has a lot to do with Behar appearing in blackface, as she did decades ago. It's something she seemed to take pride in, even years later, discussing it on The View.
It was a Halloween party. I went as a beautiful African woman.
Oh, yes, you ain't Black.
But that's my hair. That's my hair.
You can be, yeah, but it is.
So the whole point of
Why
is
are you
that curly
upset with
hair
me
is
now?
coming back.
I thought that is me.
Did you have tanning lotion on,
A
Joy?
little, I had makeup that was a little bit darker than my skin.
The little bit darker makeup, well, that's still blackface. That's still blackface, if that's the look you're going for, okay? Scott responded to Behar's on-air remarks in a tweet on Tuesday, claiming that Democrats fear Black conservatives. Majority of Black voters tend to lean left at the polls, saying when a Black conservative who believes in the future of this nation stands up to be counted, they lose their minds. That's why I'm the candidate the radical left fears the most, South Carolina Senator wrote via Twitter. Scott also got support from other Black Republicans like Myron Donalds, who tweeted, "Joy dressing up as a Black woman for Halloween with dark paint on your face doesn't magically make you Black or make you an expert on what it's like to be Black," wrote the US Representative Myron Donalds of Florida. From one Black person to another white liberal who got a pass for wearing blackface, sit this one out. Donalds doubled down with on-air comments on Wednesday morning.
Listen, Joy Behar doesn't understand that she is a buffoon. She's paid to spew these things. Nobody really pays attention to anything that she believes in or she talks about. And this is also, she sounds good on the Upper West Side, but the rest of America looks at her and says she is utterly ridiculous. I don't even know why her opinions even carry the level of weight that they do. Frankly, they really don't. But it's just a ridiculous opinion. She's never walked a day in Tim Scott's shoes or in my shoes or any other Black person in America. So she needs to just sit down, stay in her lane, tell some jokes, but this is not an area for her to comment.
Okay, so he wants her to have several seats, Jordan. And I don't know, and maybe it's oversimplifying it. On the one hand, is Joy Behar out of touch as a white woman talking about anything Black, no matter where it is on the spectrum? Or did Joy Behar perhaps make a little mistake, needs some more education about what is and isn't appropriate and what should or should not be regrettable? But there should be a statute of limitations, and her overall body of work as a liberal white woman means she does get to talk about these things. Frame this for us.
I wouldn't say any amount of time or work would allow her to really substantively critique someone's experience as a Black American. As a white person, it's just not something you could really fully understand. You could support, the Black community in this country. You can show allyship, but to question someone's race because of their politics is racist. Tim Scott is totally within his right to think whatever he wants politically. It doesn't make him less Black. It's ridiculous, but it's a trend that a lot of, especially coastal or big city liberals that's a behavior pattern that they like to engage in. Maybe they pat themselves on the back for living in a diverse community, or showing solidarity with Black Lives Matter or other racial justice groups, but it doesn't give them a pass to question somebody's race. And that trend among white liberals really needs to stop.
Yeah, I think Joy needs to get a wake-up call, perhaps from Rachel Dolezal, who's been through it and has now had years of education about what is and is not appropriate. Not suggesting that Joy is, well, on that one Halloween night, she did try to live as a Black woman, didn't she? On that one night. But I wonder what you make of her friend sitting at that table. Even back in 2016, you had the clip there. They didn't exactly call her out. They heard it. We all heard it. And they certainly didn't call her out this week when she, listen, think what you want about what's his face, who has the billionaire friend on the Supreme Court, and the other guy, South Carolina, who says America's not racist and he doesn't know anything about it. But Black people who support and love white allies, it just makes you get a little, okay, you don't want to go too far in, but somebody's got to say something. Why didn't they say anything?
The audience laughed. It's not just her.
Mm-hmm.
It's a white liberal problem. I think a lot about that movie Get Out and the depictions of suburban white liberals and how they're portrayed there. It's the dad who was talking about how I would have voted for Obama a third time if I could have, to show that he's cool, he's likable, he's a good white guy, he's a good white ally. Meanwhile, he's doing these barbaric experiments on Black men in his basement. It's just this total cognitive dissonance. Yeah, you can and should show support for the Black community in this country. You should never question their Blackness because of their politics.
Yeah. Is it also an upper? We always hear them talk about the Upper East Side, Upper West Side. Is it I'm in my little New York bubble with my friends in the same cocktail parties, and we all think alike. And so as soon as you say it out loud, and someone in the Midwest or the South or someone who does have naturally brown skin hears it, that's the first time you're gonna get checked. Is it a inside baseball, upper New York City kind of deal as well?
Yeah, there's a lot of cloistered white elite liberals who think that they live in diverse communities because, for her, she might go spelunking into Midtown and see people that don't look like her, and she thinks, oh, I'm living in a diverse area. But then she goes back up, Upper West Side, Upper East Side, where it's, largely white and largely affluent families. That's not the same thing. It's not the same thing as living in the Bronx or Queens.
Yeah.
They just have these totally tone deaf reactions to things that seem pretty simple when you're connected to other types of people, other groups, or actually live in a diverse community.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And listen, again, I like Joy Behar and I think she's an ally, but I am gonna put out a call. Does anyone have Rachel Dolezal's phone number? Because I would like to connect the two ladies. I would like them to have a deep conversation. One can warn the other, don't do this again.